Today on Con Talk, we're talking with Risen Vision Comics creator Daniel Johnson about Saint, God's Warrior.
Rogue signal intercepted. Signal designation B's, views and reviews. Signal host Branson Boykin. Initiating com talk.
Hey guys, welcome to B's, Views, and Reviews, the podcast that promotes faith-based, family-friendly comics and the creators that make them. Brought to you by Geek Devotions, a show by devoted geeks devoted to letting you know that you are loved. I'm B, and today we'll be taking a look at Saint, God's Warrior, written by Daniel Johnson, the man behind Risen Vision Comics. Welcome to the show, Daniel. How are you today?
I'm doing blessed, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, sure. I'm excited to have you here.
Yes, sir.
Talk to us a little bit about yourself. Namely, how did you come to meet Jesus?
Okay.
And then also, what got you into creating comics?
Okay, so basically I grew up in a Christian family. I have parents. My parents are pastors. So like I said, basically I grew up with the word inside of me. I gave my life to Christ at the tender age of 6. And like I said, the word basically been stored, inside of me since I was a young kid, So like I say, throughout really my lifetime from being young till now, like the word has never left me. And when it comes to the comic books, I've always been a big fan of just all superheroes, heavy everything. More cartoons than comic books, like Batman, Superman adventures. I've always been Team DC, but I love Marvel too. I got love for Marvel. It's no hate or nothing. I'm not this crisscross type guy.
I got you. Me too.
Batman, Superman. I love the X-Men, like the classic 90s version, Spider-Man, the Batman series. Like this is really where I got my inspiration from growing up. One of my biggest inspirations, you might laugh at this, was the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. That was all time my favorite thing, man.
Not laughing at all. I've lost count of the number of times I've gone to cons just to meet Jason David Frank. So.
Man, it was a blessing, man. A couple years back, I did a Lafayette Comic-Con in 2019, and I met Austin St. John.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Red Ranger. It's really my favorite color and my favorite Ranger of all time. And I gave him a book for free, and I talked to him. He actually let me get online, on video with him and talk about my book. So I was just geeked out with that.
Wow.
So that like I say, basically that's the whole inspiration. Now, when you say superheroes, it all started with that. Just kind of, I've always had a love for cartoons, and like I said, I really honestly got into comic books later on as I got older. Really more for the fact of getting better with my writing. But like I said, my love really came from the cartoons. Kids, WB, Fox Kids, just the classics.
Right. No, I get the stuff I grew up with. I'm right there with you. And, hearing you say that, having read Saint, that actually makes a lot of sense because there's a lot about Saint's transformation that looks very much like morphing.
Yeah.
Like he's using a power coin. So,
exactly.
So I could definitely see that nod there.
Exactly.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, let's talk about Saint for a second. Can you give us a short synopsis of the story? Like, what's the basic premise behind Saint?
Yes, sir. So basically, in a long story short, Saint is about a guy who gets his powers from God after losing his mother. The story is originally based out of New Orleans. New Orleans is originally my hometown. So like I said, I just really wanted to just bring comic books to the South, because in Marvel, we have a lot of stuff from New York, DC, you see Chicago, you got Metropolis and all that, but you don't really see that many comic books from the South. Maybe you got Gambit from X-Men, but he's from the French quarters. And but Louisiana in general, like not just New Orleans, like I have other comic books coming later, right? Where I just want to expand in Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Shreveport, like it's gonna be all over. And like I said, it's really gonna be for me, an entire amount of heroes coming together in the state, the boot, so
right.
Like I say, long story short, the story basically talks about purpose. Like I say, basically he lost his mother, and basically it's just I feel like God put on my heart, with the message of to minister to people. Somebody have lost somebody important in life, and it has got us down. Maybe it has put us in a state of depression, and sometimes God will use things in life, to strengthen you because He has a calling for you. You may go, well, dang Lord, will this happen, or that happen, and I don't understand why. God is saying, hold on tight, my son, hold on tight, my daughter. Everything that happens for a reason. We know the scriptures say all things work together for good. So
Amen.
That is the premises really that I went with. Is like I said, when people read the book, I want them just to be encouraged and inspired, that God has all called us to something. And we all went through something. We all have something that we went through that was detrimental in life, something that maybe was, made us go into a state of depression, but know that God is with you, and know that God always have a greater plan for your life. That's the basis of Saint.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. And, I think it's great that you chose comics as a medium to communicate that. One of the main reasons that I created this podcast. I've got two sons, and they're just as into comic books as I am.
Okay.
And I noticed that when I would go to the comic shop, especially Batman and Spider-Man, those are my kids' favorites. Right now my youngest is going through a Ninja Turtle phase.
But, Not about Ninja Turtles, another classic.
Yeah. But I would go, and especially with Batman, some of his titles get really dark, and they've got content in there that's not good for kids.
They do.
And they would say, "Oh, Daddy, look, there's a Batman book." And I said, "I know, son. I know that's Batman. We're not going to buy that one."
Yeah.
Well, why not?
Yeah.
Well, I know it's Batman, but it's not the Batman you're used to.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
And I was talking with my wife, and I was like, it's just frustrating because I know there are people out there that make good, wholesome comics that are still entertaining, that are still fun to read, but they've got a good message. They've got a positive viewpoint. They've got a pro-Christian viewpoint.
Yeah.
One of the things that frustrates me most is Christians are very popular bad guys in the media.
Yeah.
We're always the ignorant, whatever.
It's always like sarcastic,
exactly. So I was talking with my wife, and I was like, I know there are people out there that produce these kinds of things, and I just wish more people knew about them. And she said, "Well, why don't you talk about that? Why don't you put a microphone in front of your face and talk about it?" Nice. That's where Bees Using Reviews came from. What you were doing is exactly what I'm trying to get out there and promote. And the fact that you're talking about stuff happening in Louisiana is super cool, because you're right. I mean, everything cool that happens in Marvel happens in New York City.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, New York City is cool. I've been there maybe 3 times in my life. I mean, I can't relate. Spider-Man's on top of the Empire State Building. I'm like, okay, you put him on top of the Capitol Building in Baton Rouge. I know something about that. You put them on top of the Regent's Tower in Shreveport. I know something about that.
Exactly.
So especially this Shreveport thing. When you drop something that happens in Shreveport, let me know. I'm going to be first to sign up for that.
Oh, I got you. I got you, man.
So, well, that is cool. Now, where did you get the idea for Saint?
Like I said, basically, the idea came from Saint two things, and basically, it's really the beginning of things, the beginning of my life again, being in the church, where my parents was pastors, always had the word in me. So learning about the armor of God was really, really probably one of my favorite topics. My dad preached on it a lot growing up. The armor of God, put on the full armor of God that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the enemy. You being a man of God, you can tell just looking at the art, it is the armor of God. I call it his spirit man, because the spirit man is your stronger version. We don't fight in our flesh, but we fight with our spirit man. The spirit man is the stronger point, the stronger version, which is the arm of God. So I got the idea from, of course, the Bible, and like I told you earlier, my love for Power Rangers. What was funny about it, when I originally sketched the character, I first came up with him at the age of 16. I wasn't even trying to make him like a Power Ranger. It just so happened to come out like that because of my love.
Right. No, it makes perfect sense, though. I mean, especially fighting this spiritual battle, it would make sense that your armor has a spiritual essence to it.
Yeah.
And just, like you said, growing up with Power Rangers and Masked Rider and stuff, the idea that you could be in plain clothes and a situation come up, and all you have to do is think or pray or summon something within you, and boom, there's your armor, there's your thing.
Exactly.
Did you see the Power Rangers reboot they did, that Lionsgate did?
Oh, I loved it, man. I loved it.
Yeah. I like that concept of, it wasn't the fact that they had a power coin that allowed them to access their armor. They had to understand it. They had to bring something out. When Billy is watching them fight and he pushes them apart, and as soon as he pushes them apart, he's standing there in his blue armor. I'm like, yes, that makes sense.
Now let me make you laugh, man. The crazy thing about 2017 Power Rangers, the book came out in 2018, but I honestly did struggle with the idea of, should I make it an actual suit where he puts on, or should it just be his armor? When I went seeing Power Rangers, That's where I got the idea from, honestly.
There you go.
I'm being honest with you, man. That was
awesome.
the idea, man. I was like, that'll be so cool, right? Because I'm trying to spoil for people who haven't seen the book, but I know you said you read it. A little bit earlier in the book, he's trying to summon it and he can't because he's not focused.
Right.
And then when he meets Christ, Christ helps him, and that gives him the confidence to say, okay, well, Christ lives within me. When he thinks that, what I'm saying, then he know that he's protected by the armor.
Right.
So basically, that's that. Like I said, that was basically the figure of speech, that I was trying to, put out there, in so many words. Symbolically speaking, when we put on the armor of God, we protected against the enemy.
Exactly. Exactly. And I love that. And I think that's something that you could apply to just real life spiritual things.
Absolutely.
Whether or not you armor up, it's not about, well, I've got my Bible in my back pocket. Mm-hmm. Or, I made sure I was in church on Sunday. It's a daily thing. It's let me get up, make sure my mind is right, make sure my heart is where it needs to be. And if I don't take the time to do that, I'm not armored up. As a pastor used to say, you're going to a fight naked.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's real. Yeah. Like, I can definitely pick it back on what you're saying, right? We should have a relationship, not religion. The religion, you go into church every day, I'm in church. Well, like you say, every morning you should be up putting on the armor of God. Every day, every morning you should be up putting on the armor of God, every day whenever you go out, because the enemy, he's not going to stop. He's going to try to attack you from here. So it's good to always have that armor on, because at the end of the day, right, like I said, God gave me the name Saint because at the end of the day, we are all his saints. We are all saints of God, so that's the whole meaning of the book, the basis of it. I wanted to make it simple, so simple that a child could understand it, right? But like I said, that's the entire basis of it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now let's talk a little bit about the artwork for a second. You said Alexander Watkins is the guy that did it. Wow.
Yeah. He's talented, man.
Man, I mean, just some of his use of lighting, his use of like when you first see Saint put on that armor, it's got this fade effect where you can kind of see through it. It gives it this ethereal look to it. I mean, how did you find him? Because he is phenomenal.
Well, I can tell you this, man. You know how they say in God's time and everything. When it's in God's time, man, like, you can't miss, right? It really started with me back in 2016, honestly, when I first decided to put it together. If you mind giving my testimony real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
It was an idea I've been had since I was 16, and God been telling me to work with it, and I kept procrastinating. I was sitting down on a big game. I'm sitting down playing Madden, and I just felt like almost like a spiritual slap, like the Lord, like my angel rebuked me and was like, "What you doing? If you don't move on this, I'm gonna give it to your next generation." You know what I'm saying? Like, this is something I'm calling you to do. So I was hesitant about it, but I've always kind of had the mindset, like, I've never been afraid to move on something. If I feel like I'm gonna move on, I'm gonna go for it. So I remember calling one of my friends, and telling him, "Hey, man, look, I'm about to start this business. If you want to join, great." And he wound up joining with me, man. I tell you, as soon as I went downtown, got things certified, God just started opening doors. I kid you not. This is crazy, right? Like, the testimony I have, man, is crazy. I don't mind saying this. I had $4,000 in my savings account, man, and God hooked me up. At the time I was working at Walgreens, and there was a guy I was working with, and I was telling him about my business and everything. He was like, "Oh, man, that's cool." He was an artist. He was like, "I don't do comic books, but I know somebody who do it." And he hooked me up with this guy, Alex. And I was like, "Okay, cool." I'm thinking in my head, okay, I got 4,000. I'm not thinking to pay the guy, nothing like that, but I'm asking the guy, "Hey, man, how much you charge for comic books or whatever?" And he told me that he could do the book for 3,000. So just the fact that it was so close to exactly what I had was like confirmation for me. I was like, I was so amazed by that, and because I was still questioning. How when God tell you to do something, you want to make sure that it's God, and you get confirmation because things start happening instantly. Man, as soon as I went downtown and got things certified, I kid you not, maybe 2 days later, I connected with this guy. You talk about the art, and he understood my preference, man, and like I don't know if you're familiar, man, like with the work and how much it is to get that stuff done. From inking to sketching to coloring to making a PDF file. God hooked it up, man, when he does all that for such a fair price. And the work is amazing, man. And then you look at the book. I know you say you had one, man. Like, it's I call it a comic book, but it's built like a graphic novel. Like, I got it there so everybody can have the, have their money's worth and really enjoy it. And what I
Yes.
wanted to do was I didn't want to have it to be just to be continued. I kind of wanted each copy to have like almost like its own book, but
Right.
that it's going into the next chapter.
Uh-huh.
So man, Alex, fantastic, man. All I can say is for him, man, to God be the glory. He's a man of God also. And like I say, man, it was just a blessing hooking up with him. He understood my idea for it. Like I say, even now, man, I'm excited to continue working with him. Like I said, we got
Yeah.
2 books out, man, published, and we keep going.
Wow. That is awesome. God just opens those doors right when you need to.
It's
So that
amazing,
you're
man.
at the right place at the right time.
Nobody can't tell me God not real.
Amen.
Yeah,
Amen.
man.
And yeah, I was noticing that about the panels. Like some of those panels, you could just crop it out of the page
Yeah.
and sell it as a print
Oh yeah.
because it's
It's so
cover
beautiful.
quality, and
Yeah.
it's cover quality throughout the entire book. I've seen a lot of issues where they'll spend a lot of time making a really, really cool cover,
Mhm.
and then the inside is we got to get 24 pages done in a month, so let's get
Right.
it done. And,
Right.
and there's nothing wrong with that. I appreciate that art style as well.
Mhm.
But you can tell that what's on the cover permeates that art style, and that quality permeates through the whole book. So
Yeah.
some of the times I wasn't even reading the words. I was like, wow, these are cool pictures.
Yeah, man. Like, and that's the
You
thing
know?
I could definitely say I appreciate him about. Like he definitely puts his heart and soul into each page, and that just show
Right.
you everything. You can see somebody put the effort into every page. The amount of detail that he puts in every page is just like it's amazing. Like you say, when I first seen a book, I had a vision for it, but you know how they say God can see beyond what you can ever ask or think. I was
Right.
thinking, okay, it'd be nice to have a comic book. Originally, I didn't even think to even have a comic book that thick. I thought my comic books was gonna be small, like a regular comic book. And God
Yeah.
even worked it out with him, that he was such a blessing. He said, man, how many pages you want to make it? And I was like, would it be a problem if it's too thick? He said, man, as many as you want. So like my second book is actually thicker than that.
Oh,
So
wow.
like I say, he keeps it the same price. So God worked it out, like and like I say, that for me, like I told you, was confirmation that God has called me to do this because I'm saying, all right, Lord, how we say just to get confirmation, Lord, if this is you, give me confirmation, and
Mhm.
it's a blessing, that things just, work like that, man, that God always come through.
Amen. Amen. All right. Well, we are going to take a short commercial break. And when we come back, I actually want to talk a little bit about, you talked about the process of making the comic. I actually want to jump on that for a little bit because we've got a lot of listeners who are into making their own comics. And I'm
Okay.
sure they would appreciate kind of a play-by-play of how you start from this idea to a book on the shelf.
Gotcha.
We will be right back.
In a world where live-action movies reign supreme, 2 awesome dudes are keeping things animated. If you want to hear a couple of animation nerds gush about the movies they love, then hop, run, or fly on over to The Cellcast. Available on most podcast platforms.
Comms returning to normal stasis in 3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, welcome back to Bees Using Reviews, where I have Daniel Johnson, the man behind Risen Vision Comics. We've been talking about his book, Saint God's Warrior, who is about a warrior for God who realizes that his power lies in Christ and uses that to combat evil. And before the break, I mentioned I wanted to talk a little bit about the process because we've got some listeners who are into making their own comics, and you're kind of living the dream here. I mean, you've done it. So what I'd like to ask you is walk us through start to finish, like from, like you said, you've got a second book written already.
Yeah.
All right. Walk us through from the moment you have an idea all the way to you've got a copy in your hand that you're selling at conventions. Walk us through that step.
Okay. Basically, I would say definitely when you first starting out, of course, it starts in the brain. Once you get the idea, the best thing I could tell any young listeners out there or listeners that want to start, you think about an idea and it's a great idea, write it down. Even if you feel like it's a stupid idea, write it down. Because even if it's a goofy idea, just because it's, let me say this before I go forward, just because it's a silly idea does not mean it's silly. It may just be silly to you, but like I say, I would say this, if it's something that's in your brain, it's coming in your brain for a reason, especially if it's different, So the first step I would say, you have an idea, write it down. The second idea, of course, when it comes to, a comic book, you have to have a story. You have to have characters. You have to have a setting. You have to have where the place is. Like basically all that takes time, and I can honestly say that I didn't just come up with everything in one day. Like that took time. I can honestly say that.
Right.
There was a lot of times I was sitting at my desk, man, and sometimes I'll fall asleep just trying to think so hard it's going to happen. I want to tell my young listeners that, so don't get discouraged if that happens. But man, like just don't give up. You know what I'm saying? Like if if you know that you have something, you starting with something, that you have something, that you feel like your first or something better, it's going to come to you. Like I say, I would say one of the best things you could do is find something, that somebody can relate with and just kind of make it your own thing. And that's what I did. Like I say, again, using my hometown, using my home state, Louisiana, I'm so excited about that, because I've never seen comic books done to the detail.
Right.
Like I say, even going forward, you're going to see both things that you're familiar with. Like, oh, man, I know that. So
yeah.
I'm really putting it heavily into my books, and I'm really trying to make it as accurate as possible, to the boot. We stay right here in Louisiana, man. This is,
right.
They call it Cajun country, so I want to make it as Cajun country as possible, So for me, again, for young listeners, man, like say, for example, if somebody from Houston, and you want to write a book, let's say you want to write it in Houston. Think about how that could be different in accuracy. Like even if you look at Stan Lee, look at Spider-Man, a Daily Bugle,
right.
That particular building, I know that's actually out there. I like how Stan Lee added his own aspects in there though. And that's basically,
right.
Like you can basically do that. You can throw your own twist in there, and basically just, just take your time and decide what you want to do with that. When it comes to the characters, again, it goes back to, for me, everything was about just being relatable, right? Like I said, my character kind of in some sorts, some inspirations came from my life. Some inspirations came from a friend of mine life. Just some things, that some things I was able to relate with, and some things that I seen in some of my friends, and I was able to really bring that into one character.
Right.
Also, another thing I did, I forgot to mention that in the beginning, man. One of my inspirations came from Star Wars. The Anakin Skywalker versus Obi-Wan.
Yes.
Anakin who turned to Darth Vader. You probably know what I'm talking about if you read the book.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
To my young listeners, it's okay to watch something and you get an idea that could be similar as long as it's not exactly the same. Make it your own thing. That's one of the greatest things you could do. Like I told you, I did with Power Rangers, and I just made it my own thing. I just kind of gave it a fresh twist. When it comes to I would say, of course, the drawing, I actually could draw a little bit. Like I said, I just wanted somebody who could do it excellent. Like I said, because I was really serious about getting it out there. So like I said, I made the necessary steps to make sure that I had the best product possible. That's why I went hire Alex. So if you can, even if you can't draw, just think of an idea or get with somebody, or see if you can try to, okay, well, this is what I want. My original idea for saying, like I told you, probably look exactly like a Power Ranger. He just had the cross, and actually he had the sword back here. But the idea I came in with later, his spirit sword, his spirit sword actually summons, from the inside of his soul.
Right.
Which is the sword of the spirit, So again, going back to the listeners here, if I think what you have to do is you have to just find, something that works for you. And I would say definitely just do your research to things you're reading, comic books, again, things you're watching. For me, like I said, I love to watch cartoons and movies and superheroes. And another thing, by the way, I'm a massive martial arts fan, man. Another thing, man, my dad's 8-dan grandmaster. I train in special forces. He trained me at the age of 9. So that's another thing that was a big love of mine. So I implemented that. I know you've seen a few scenes in that.
Yeah. Actually, both my boys take kung fu. So some of the stuff they did, I was like, okay, I see where he's going with that. I see where that comes from. Yeah.
Yeah. Like again, going back to Power Rangers, they did some karate, right? So I mean, for me, all that played full circle. For me, I just took my childhood, and I just kind of, like I said, I just kind of try to build, a serious storyline. And I would tell people, once you get all those things together, when as far as it comes to finding, an artist or someone, I would say definitely pray about it. I know it's not easy, especially in the comic book industry. I know it's hard. Like I say, for me, I asked God, Lord, if you want me to do this, send me signs. I didn't even have time. It just happened. I ran into somebody, like I know somebody. And that's what amazed me. But I know for people, who's out there looking, I would say trust God. Do your research, pray around for it, and just be aware. Do your estimates, do your quotes, look around for good and fair prices.
Right.
And just see what it be best what it work best for you.
Right.
Would it work best for you? Would it be the best course for you or whatever?
Mm.
But like I said, once that happens, the PDF transitioning the file and everything. For a while, man, when the book first came out, I honestly was so excited about it. I kind of got stuck. I knew what to do with it, but I didn't know. And it was like, all right, Comic-Con just hit me. And the first Comic-Con was Lafayette Comic-Con, back in 2019 before COVID. And man, I went to that, man, and again, first time selling it ever. I was actually really hesitant. I didn't really know how the book was gonna do. It was the first time, and I was like, well, Lord, your will be done. I'm just gonna be fair about it. I'm gonna price the book real low. And man, like I laugh about it now because people was like, man, that's all you selling that book for? People was telling me, it ain't about the money, but people was telling me, because the art is so beautiful,
Right.
so man, like I don't have a problem saying this, man. When I first went to Lafayette, man, God bless me, man, I sold over 73 books.
Wow.
And I was amazed by that. That was my very first event. I was amazed. I was like, wow. So that was kind of God. I kind of felt in the spirit. The Lord told me, like this is, what I'm calling you to do, and if you had any question about anything, God kind of brought me back to when I first started, how everything was line upon line, precept upon precept. Got to this event, was making this. Last year did an event in Dallas, and man, a lot of people was blessed out there, man. Sold over like 70 plus again.
Wow.
Man, God, God just doing it. And that was just with one book, and like I say, having a second book now, people continue to be blessed. I have a lot of people waiting on the third book now.
Yeah.
Again, man, going back to the young listeners, man, if y'all just starting out, definitely take y'all time. Like I say, don't feel like you have to rush, be original, be creative, think about it. Again, man, and I would tell people, man, like if you love to read, use what you love, and utilize it to create what you want. So, like again, if you got a book, go in there and see, okay, what can I use? And most likely, how mind works is when we usually reading something or watching something, right? Like ideas just pop, like, oh, that's cool. Especially if you're a writer or artist or whatever, you're gonna say, oh, that's cool. I can use that in a way and flip it and make it my own thing. And that's basically what happened with me.
Yeah.
So that's what I tell the young listeners, man. The main thing, two things: pray about it and definitely research however you feel like you need to research, and you go from there.
Cool. Awesome. Let's talk about how you worked with Alex. He goes by Alex, I guess.
Yeah, Alex. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I looked into making comics and stuff, and I saw that there are basically two thoughts to making a comic when you've got a writer artist team.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Stan Lee way, where he tells the artist, this is kind of what I want to happen. And the artist draws it, sends it back, and then Stan Lee would sit down and say, okay, so in this panel, he's going to say this, 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 and this. And then the other way, the more traditional way, I guess, is the author writes out the script and is super detailed. In this panel, I want this. In this panel, I want this. And then the artist basically just takes his words and turns it into a page. What was that process like with you and Alex? Like, how did y'all communicate what you were looking for on a page?
Well, I could definitely say this with my very first book. I actually sketched out the entirety of my first book in drawing. So what I did was I basically just uploaded my entire book, and he just actually drew it out better. And
okay.
Yeah, but basically when it came to the dialogue, anytime we get ready to finish our product, usually we get on the phone and we'll basically talk in detail. All right, what you want here, what you want there. So you can kind of mix in a little bit traditional, a little bit of traditional, a little bit of the Stan Lee way. Now when it came to my second book, I decided not to sketch. And I'm like, okay, going forward, I really don't have to sketch. Me kind of transitioning from being a artist myself and was drawing and sketching at first to just being a writer now. I just write out things and we talk about it, and I say, hey, look, this is how I want my character to look. So that kind of goes, for me, that became the full way of doing it. Like with issue 2, I did it entirely like that. And what I did was I usually write, okay, this character is going to say this, have him punch this character, he go flying back in the wall, and he'll basically just draw that out. And then we'll get on the phone, we'll talk about it and say, okay, this is what you want, right? Okay. And once it's done, okay, let's go over the manuscripts. All right, you want this text bubble here, stuff like that. So like I said, it's more detailed in a way, because we want to make sure we have everything right. And of course, in the process, of just making sure all the book pages are in order. All right, so you
Right.
want this page here, you want that page there. Okay, you want this filed up like this, and okay. And the good thing about Alex too, he's always helpful. If he go, okay, well, this scene here may not make sense with this page, and I appreciate that about him, because like I say, just in general, a comic book takes a lot of work. And like I said, you got to be careful because it's a lot, and you could get one page mixed up, and if you could complete that and you look and you like, wait, huh? And you feel like you skipped the page because, you have to be real careful when it comes to detail. So a lot of people don't realize there's a lot of work. Of course, it being a passion of mine, I love it, but there's a lot of work. So you got to take your time with it.
Right. It's too much work to not love it.
Exactly. That's it.
Yeah. Cool.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
Well, I know you said you've got a second book. Now, is that second book already published or?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right now, Barnes and Noble Press, BarnesandNoble.com. I have both books online. I have also the KDP version on Amazon for issue 1. I'm currently about to purchase. I'm currently about to put issue 2 also on the audio version on Amazon. Basically, with issue 2, basically it's just about the character. It follows exactly from issue 1. Basically, talking about the struggle of the character. Basically, how he's trying to balance life between being a hero and trying to balance his personal life. And you kind of see right off the bat that in some portions he's kind of having doubt. I wanted to be relatable, like, all right, like this power is kind of intimidating. Like, I don't know if this is something I want to do. And I kind of transitioned back a little bit without giving away too much. When his mother died, I kind of go in a little more detail about that, and how, his mother ministered to him and stuff, and how he was about to do some things, and the God was like, no, stop. Like, I have greater purpose for you. Basically what it did with part 1, but I just kind of expanded on it better. And like I said, you're going to kind of see that more here. He was kind of like almost kind of trying to question, is this really what I'm supposed to do? Because, it's just too good to be true. And again, I just feel like it's a lot. Like, I don't know if I can take on an entire city. But he didn't realize, that it's not just him, it's Christ within him that's doing all the work. So that's like for issue 2, it's the continuation of that character. And my entire inspiration for issue 2, I honestly really went the Marvel route. You look at characters, I can also say that I'm a bigger DC fan because the heroes are more overpowered, right? But if you look at Marvel superheroes, they have more problems. They're more human. You relate with them. One of my favorite characters, probably Marvel Spider-Man. We already know he's a high school student. He has problems. He's a nerd. We seen in Spider-Man 2, the classic Tobey Maguire, how he tried to, he was struggling with his power, trying to keep his girlfriend Mary Jane, and that's kind of right with issue 2. You kind of see Derek in school, kind of trying to balance life, and then he getting off and, oh man, I this again. Stuff like that, so that's the route I went with issue 2. Issue 1's more of your origin story, how he became. Issue 2 talks about how he's trying to manage, so.
Gotcha. So what are we looking for as far as the future of Risen Vision? You've got issue 2 out already, and I think you mentioned you've got issue 3 that you're working on.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any other titles you're working on in Risen Vision, or is Saint kind of your thing you're doing, or what's the future of Risen Vision?
Well, right now it is all Saint. Like I said, I have issue 1, issue 2, issue 3 is the final culmination to the entire chapter. Issue 3 basically going to be the all-out war from the from the first page. You understand what is going on, and you pretty much get everything here. Issue 3 is going to be pretty heavily action packed because, like I said, I wanted to set the tone for everything else. So you're going to have a good time with issue 3. The beautiful pages. Like I say, basically, you even get more detail and backstory on a lot more. Like I said, I'm making sure, that people get that full understanding before we transition. I have other characters coming on because I told you I was working on a universe. My next project, the guy's named Mirak. That's going to be my next character right after issue 3. And basically, if I give a short premises about that, basically, it's a guy, he comes from the struggle. He comes from the hood. And basically, his mother dropped him off at the age of 6, and with no question, she dropped him off in the hood by his uncle and left him there, and it was one of the most dangerous spots in all the world, and it's like, okay, well, why would she drop this young kid off here, and his uncle basically had to teach him, basically how to survive in that in that area, because he going to school every day, he see dead bodies on the floor, stuff like that. Like I say, it's dangerous. You come to find out as he got older, his uncle started teaching him, look, you gotta learn how to protect yourself. He gonna find out it's for a deeper reason. His uncle was always gone and everything, so basically with that, he gonna find, that his uncle's working for the government. Some things gonna happen or whatever, and it's basically gonna have him going on a rampage, and he's basically gonna realize his uncle didn't want him to live that life. He gonna say, one of his main quotes is gonna be, I didn't choose this life, but this life chose me. He was supposed to be getting out of the struggle, but he's gonna take it. In the beginning, it's gonna be like, okay, he's gonna take it the wrong way, but he's gonna come back around where I can really become a hero and protect this area. Like instead of instead of the crime, the evil, the drugs, and I'm gonna have a supernatural issue, a supernatural thing in there too. Basically he's gonna realize, that he can become better, that he can make this area better. He's gonna become fear to others.
Right.
That man inspired, Punisher inspired. But here's the cool thing: Risen Vision as a whole is all Christian aspects, right? So his character is going to represent more the wrath of God. God is love.
Okay.
God is love, but like I say, when God, when God don't play,
right.
There's a side of that too. And with Mirak, it's going to be an aspect, of, okay, this is God, showing no mercy on the enemy.
Right.
So that's the route I'm going with that.
Cool.
The basics of that character. And he's going to be just a human, military training. Like I say, definitely clearly I got inspiration from Punisher with him. He's going to be more my Punisher character of my character. Risen Vision going to be more Batman, but like I said, of course, again, like I was telling the young listeners, take your own inspiration. So he's going to, he's going to be his own character. He's going to be real smart. He's going to have his own weapons he create from scratch. He's going to be pretty cool, man. I'm excited to get on him next.
Cool.
I have two other characters, man. I'm working on my first female character. That's gonna be my third book. Her name is Kari, a Queen of Serenity. Basically, I'm probably gonna have her as my strongest character. Basically that's gonna give a nod to women empowerment. And just show women that they can make it out here too. They can be basically they can rock with the big boys. Wonder Woman already showing that, right? So I'm gonna be the Wonder Woman of my Risen Vision. So I'm probably gonna have her on the level. She's not gonna be from Earth. She's gonna kind of be like half human, half something else, So working on that, and then I got my other character, Solid. My other character, Solid, he's gonna be like cyborg kind of cyborg, but he's gonna be like just like crazy strong. So that's my three other characters I'm working on, and I'm actually building an entire universe where I'm going to put them in a team together.
Oh, nice.
So that's my long-term plan right now, and like I said, right after that, man. Saint Chapter 2 gonna be coming down. I just have a lot of projects, man. I could go on and on about it, man. Like I have it lined up for people, man. So I would just tell y'all, stay tuned and man, follow. It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a roller coaster.
Awesome. Well, speaking of following, if people want to connect with you on social media, where can they go to do that?
Absolutely. You can check me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Risen Vision Comics. That's RISEN VISIONCOMICS. It's all the same. Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You type in Risen Vision Comics, you can see me there. Also, my website, risenvision.org, where you can go, and purchase the book and also purchase some apparel. I have hats, shirts, beanies. I have a couple things up right now, man. Just in general, like I said, beside the books, I have hats, I have shirts, I have beanies, buttons, stickers, things like that. So, yeah, man. Like I said, we have a couple things, man, and I say, man, it's just a blessing, some of the things that God is doing. And I'm excited for the future.
Amen. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to our listeners in Shreveport. Daniel Johnson is going to be at GeekCon this August with a booth with his Risen Vision stuff. So if you want to meet him in person, you can do that at GeekCon here in Shreveport, August 19th, 20th, and 21st. Daniel, thanks so much for coming on the show and sharing with us your heart and your vision and talking comics with us. That's what we love to do here.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, man. It's been fun.
All right. The Saint God's Warrior is written by Daniel Johnson with art by Alexander Watkins and is published by Risen Vision Thoughts of Light. You can get your copy for issue 1 at Amazon. You can get your copy for issue 2 at barnesandnoble.com, and issue 2 will be dropping on Amazon as well pretty soon, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to follow Geek Devotions on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the whole 9 yards. Also, be sure to subscribe to us on your favorite podcast catchers and leave reviews. We love to hear feedback. Until next time, stay devoted, peace, and love.